is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach from thereboundcoach.com, and you're watching or listening to another episode of the Rebound Coach Live. I'm going to be really brief today because I just have a powerful question for you. What are you ready for? What are you getting ready for? What are you prepared for? And what's your next season going to be? You might be like, what are you talking about, Dallas? I'm not sure what any of those questions are. And I completely understand, because if you're like me, sometimes life just kind of happens to you and you don't always take that time or take that authority to name your next season. But I want to tell you that you can. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad that you're here on the reboundcoach.com. Watching an episode of the Rebound Coach Live. Today's actually a very special day. If you are watching this on the day that this originally airs, it is Yom Teruah, which is a special day on the Hebrew calendar, meaning day of trumpets or day of blowing. You may also have heard of it as Rosh Hashana, and I'm going to give you a quick and dirty history lesson, but also it is a special time that we can recognize our new season. And that's the kind of work that we do here. So again, if it's your first time meeting me, my name is Dallas Cohen. And here's the quick story, y'all. I was married 10 years to a man who wanted me dead. He almost had the opportunity. He and his mistress were planning my murder. And that's something that I found out after 10 years of marriage in an abusive situation. And by God's tremendous and amazing graces and blessings, I'm alive and I'm here with you today. And I have the honor of serving high achieving women of faith who've been through betrayal or trauma or abuse and who'd like to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. That's the work I do in a nutshell as a life coach and healing experience facilitator. And I'm excited to bring you a quick message today on our episode of the Rebound Coach Live. What are you ready for? What are you ready for? So if you have a Judeo-Christian background, like many folks that I work with do, you know that Christ is returning for his bride, but you may not know the deep historical significance of how Yom Teruah comes into play for that. What I will tell you, it's a day of blowing, a day of trumpets. It is a day that in history was used to betroth us to our bridegroom as a bride, as a unit. And I know if some of this language is like, what are you talking about? DM me, okay? I'll be happy to go over it with you. But today I don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to fly really fast, okay? So if you have that Judeo-Christian history, background, knowledge, you know that at Sinai, a trumpet was blown and a people made a covenant with their Savior. They didn't know it was a Savior quite back then, but they made a covenant with a Savior. And we know also that our bridegroom is coming again for us with a trumpet. And so each year when the trumpets are blown, it is a reminder of our soon coming king, our soon coming bridegroom. And we're instructed in the scriptures to be readying ourselves for that day and that time. But what exactly does that mean? We are to be ready as a bride waiting for her bridegroom to come. Well, what does that mean? It's a getting ready. So my question to you today, you may not be thinking about the return of the Savior. You may not be thinking about those things on your everyday basis, but there is something you can be thinking about. What are you getting ready for? What are you preparing for? And if you're not preparing for good, you're preparing for evil. Well, what do you mean? If all we're thinking about are negative things, the negative things going on in the world, the destruction. Right now, we just had Hurricane Helene that just came through a few days ago. So many areas in my community are really hurting right now. And it's easy to be kind of sucked into the destruction and watching things and feeling. I have a personal love for the beach. And so seeing the destruction of the beach areas in my town, in my community is pretty disheartening. And it's easy to get sucked into those images and just feed on that and feed on that and feed on that. Well, what am I preparing myself for? As a person thinks in their minds and hearts, so are they. So what you feed will flourish, what you neglect will die. So if I feed myself destruction, I'm preparing for more destruction. And that doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. Well, what are you talking about, Dallas? These are just things that are happening in the world, and don't you need to be in touch with the world? The answer is no. I need to be in touch with the things I want more of in my world, the things I need to be preparing myself and my world for, which means I need to be mindful. And I encourage you also to be mindful about what it is you're putting into your eye gate, your ear gate, what is entering your consciousness, because it matters. Okay. So Yom Teruah, also Rosh Hashana. So you may have heard of it as described as Rosh Hashana, which is kind of a more modern way of talking about the day. And that is one of the Hebrew New Year's. There's a couple of those, actually four. We won't get into any of that today, but it is a new year, and it's a agricultural new year. So it's a time of harvest. It's a time of celebration, it's a time of rejoicing. It's a time to start again. And this Yom Teruah is the beginning of the high holy days in the fall feasts, beginning with Yom Teruah and then Yom Kippur and then Sukkot, or Tabernacles, you might have heard of. So it is the beginning of a really significant season in the Hebrew calendar. It's the beginning of the 10 days of awe, which is a sacred time spiritually. It's a time of introspection. It's a time to make things right with God, make things right with yourself, make things right with others. And so I encourage you to do that introspection today and consider what it is that you are preparing for. What season of life are you preparing for? And if you're not consciously preparing for something good, you can make that shift today. You don't have to wait until next year. You don't have to wait until Gregorian New Year in December/January. You can do a new start today. You can do a new start any day, but it's really significant to do a new start this day, as it is the beginning of the next Hebrew year, which is 5785. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be alive. You know why? Because you are here. No matter what has happened to you in your childhood, in your adulthood, no matter what's happened in your relationships, you are here. You're alive, and which means there's another opportunity to make a fresh start and to make the rest of your life the best of your life. And I just want to encourage you to do that. I'd love to hear in the comments what you are preparing your heart, your life, your family for. Please feel free to leave a message in the comments. I'd love to read it and respond to it. You can also reach out to me on social media where you are seeing this episode, either on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are finding me. Or you can just go to thereboundcoach.com and fill out a contact me. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to know what it is you are preparing your heart for. Stay tuned. I will be on a virtual summit called A New Dawn. It's a domestic violence awareness symposium online, and it will be on October 6th, which is a Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So stay tuned for that. I will link that information on these social media channels as well. I would love to see you there. I'd love to get to know you. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to connect. So again, you can reach me at thereboundcoach.com. This is a very, very fast episode of the Rebound Coach Live. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to catching up with you later.